right, so welcome to episode 8 of the Bulldog Bark. I am yours truly, the Guru. With me, we got our usual suspects, the BFC, Michael DeRosa, and Kyle, the Butler fan, and special guest today. Drum roll, please, boys. We got the Big East. I'm not going to say Barstool this time, guys. Big East Barroom. I got it right. Here we go. That's better. That's better than I can say for Ryan, who it's Jamil.
I got my notes.
Oh, he's got it written down. Oh,
I'm not messing it up this time.
He's got it written down.
Respect.
So boys, Butler, probably the surprise of the Big East this year so far. 8-2. I'm kind of considering the non-conference done for them in a way. They got Saginaw Valley, whatever, D2 coming up. No one knows why we scheduled that. 8-2 in non-conference versus D1 opponents. On a 5-game winning streak right now. The Dogs are hot. I'm going to punt it over to our special guest today. I don't care which one of you two wants to take it off first. What are kind of your impressions now that you've gotten to see the Dogs through an entire non-conference? How do you think they're performing?
Well, I guess I'll go first. I'm really impressed with Butler. I came into this year thinking Thad was bad. That was what I was going in. Rick gives me the ick and Thad is bad. I'm 1 for 2 and I'm very happy about that right now. This team, you saw the talent levels last year. I thought Jaden Taylor and Chuck Harris were as talented as anyone in the Big East. So when you bring in these new talented players like a Pierre Brooks and a Jamil Telfort that you haven't seen, and you look at, if you're not trusting Thad Matta, you're thinking, okay, maybe this team just, they don't have an identity again. And it's hard to trust transfers. And to come in and have 4 legitimate players at any time who can close a game, that's, something I was talking about with Ryan the other day. Jamil Telfort, DJ Davis, Pierre Brooks, and Posh Alexander. I'm not sure how many, they're right there in the top half of the Big East for a 4, top 4. So non-conference, you hit it on the head. 8-2, will be 9-2, later this week. I mean, they're a team that should be receiving votes right now. And I think even the most optimistic Butler fan, probably didn't have that, there, especially with some of the teams you played, beating Cal and Texas Tech. Those are legitimate P6 schools. So I think everything about Butler has to be trending upward.
Yeah, by my math, there's 3 teams in the Big East that are as heavily transfer reliant as Butler. It's St. John's, Georgetown, and Butler. Look at what St. John's and Georgetown are doing. Butler's the only one that's put it together at this point, and it's not easy to put it together when you have this many transfers. 4 of your 5 starters are transfers, and first 2 guys off the bench are also transfers. So it's special, and the way the pieces have fit together have been a lot of fun to watch. You got 5 killers out there. You got 3 great scoring options on the floor at any point. And they're going to be able to score with anybody in the Big East, as far as I'm concerned. It's a top 50 offense in the country.
Offensively,
Go for Kyle.
Offensively, I think that there's no reason to there's all, like you said, there's 3 guys out there, like assuming they're playing the starting lineup if the game's closing out or whatnot, that are, and even with Jaden Taylor and Chuck Harris on the team last year, you guys hit the nail on the head. They're good players, but like when the game was coming down to it, it was just hard to have, it was hard to trust those guys to take that shot. And I would say the difference as far as that goes is those 3 guys, DJ, Pierre, and Jamil, genuinely, if one of them wants to pull up and take a 3 in a clutch situation, even if they miss it, I'm not going to question that shot. And that's just not been the way Butler's been the past 3 years. There's been guys like, oh, what the hell was that shot? But all 3 of those guys, you're going to trust them to take a shot, whatever shot it is, which is just so different.
Can I swing a question your way? If you had an option of the 4 of them, and maybe you've addressed this before, to take a final shot, do you have a preference right now? Anybody? Because, man, it feels like Telfort, Brooks, and DJ Davis have hit their fair share of huge shots this year.
Yeah, I think and I tweeted about this earlier this week, when the going kind of gets tough, Barlow draws up the DJ Davis play. So not necessarily, Telfort and Brooks are go get a bucket guys, just give them the ball. But it seems like when we need to kind of stop a run or get a bucket at the end, they just run that kind of pop to DJ at the top of the key, and he's shooting 80% on that shot. And that play has just been money. So I think that play is kind of the killer that we rely on. But then I think Telfort's probably the go-to. Like, all right, offense kind of breaking down. There's 20 seconds left against Cal. We're down by 2. No one's going to stop him with a full head of steam. So just go get a bucket.
Yeah.
They run the deep. Oh, let me take this. Sorry, Guru.
Yeah, you get it, Mike. Yeah,
it's
I
what
know you wanted to get after this.
Yeah, there's just this
Welcome
one
back.
thing. I've noted it quite a bit, but yeah, they run that pin down for DJ Davis in the middle of the floor. He's the guy they're always looking to. And that's actually the play they ran at the end of the Texas Tech game. They ran the pin down for DJ Davis in the middle. It's just both guys followed Davis. So Posh threw that lob to Thomas. Thomas caught it, kick corner wide open. They're always running that pin down for Davis. I think BFC hit it best. If you can get me like a full set, they're running that. But if not, like 7 seconds left, I need a bucket. I feel like if it's 2, it's Telford. If it's 3, it's Brooks.
Yeah, I mean, in the Texas Tech game and the Cal game, I actually posted it late last night. It's like the exact same shot. Posh goes down to the right, just gives it to Pierre, who hits like a dagger 3 in both of them. I think Pierre. I initially said Pierre because I think he just has the most confidence of like any of them. But Jamil obviously has proven time and time again. Cal, he had 2 big shots, had the tying bucket to go to the second overtime, and then the 3 at the end to basically ice it. I'd say those 2 are the go-to guys. And then DJ's kind of the guy like BFC alluded to where we stop runs with, which is it's just a 3-headed monster, which I'm a little bit older than you guys. This is something unlike Butler's ever had, I swear. It feels like it's been centuries since they had offense. It was like, sweet, we won 54-52. Let's do it. And it's like, now it's like, let's win 108-106. Fuck it. So maybe who would you guys say was your biggest surprise or standout from this non-conference? I'll go back to Tyler. That is bad. Obviously, now we know that ain't the truth, right? So who do you think has kind of stepped up the most that you didn't expect this non-conference for the Bulldogs?
I mean, I think Pierre Brooks for me. I mean, averages 4 points a game at Kentucky or Michigan State last year. Sorry, I'm looking at Mike DeRosa, and I really don't want to get something wrong because this guy harps on every word I've ever said. So,
look, you should know who Purdue's starting backcourt is when it's the same guys that got him a 1 seed last year, the number 1 overall seed, instead of like stumbling over there for like 30 seconds. But sorry, we'll get into that another time.
I'm interested in FDU and what they're coming out with because they lost. If you watch that game, Mike,
I did actually. Hey, shout out to Tobin Anderson. He got a new job from it.
I know you missed that game, and I know you like 2 teams, but we actually cover 11, so sometimes it's hard to remember. Anyway,
cover a lot more than 11.
Pierre Brooks, I think. I mean, anytime you have a high major guy transferring, I don't want to say down, but when you're at Michigan State, pretty much the only way to transfer is slightly down. Not even a shot at Butler. Pretty much any Big East school. You just wonder, is that talent still there from being that 4-star, 5-star recruit? And clearly, I mean, the joy he plays with. I mean, I know that sounds corny, but that iconic photo that one of you guys posted where him and Thad are, going nuts on the sideline, which is a fantastic photo. He from an outsider's perspective, he almost seems like the leader. I know Posh is the leader, like that's his like role. But like it just seems like they go with him emotionally. And then I know I don't want to steal Ryan's. I don't know if he's going to say it, but I think a shout out to Andre Screen. I is that yours, Ryan?
I got Andre's screen stats up right here.
All right. So, and that's a great segue because Ryan's now going to talk about Andre Screen.
Yeah, talking about any of the starters is obviously fun, and Jamil Telfor and DJ Davis. They wouldn't be where they are without those guys playing out of their minds. But I mean, Andre Screen was an unknown to pretty much everybody but the most diehard Butler fans, right? If you looked into his time at Bucknell, he's averaging nearly 8 points, and he's averaging over 5 rebounds in 13 minutes of action, and he's shooting 72% from the field. I mean, he didn't miss a shot until the 3rd game of the season. He's been fantastic. He's given them so much depth in the front court. I'm not saying he's my biggest surprise, but he definitely deserves a mention in this conversation.
He's my biggest surprise. Straight up.
Same.
I just didn't. Not to say that there's not other guys who have performed better than I thought, but I was before the season. If you asked me who the most important player on the team was, as far as you can't get injured, like please God don't get injured or we're screwed, it would have been Jalen Thomas, because I thought we had just nothing there. And not to say that it wouldn't hurt horribly if he did go down, it would, but like. I just didn't think we had a real backup option at the 5, and there's been plenty of games that Andre Screen's been better than Jalen Thomas.
Well, listen, Manny Bates outperformed what he was expected to last year, at least in the non-con before he started dealing with injury. Andre Screen, you give Thad Matta a 7-footer and you give Greg Oden a 7-footer to work with, and you can work miracles.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they're very different types of players, but it's been good how they've been able to adopt. I mean, I know Michael talks a lot about how they've really changed the way they play when Screen's in the game, which they do.
What about you, Mike?
Oh, sorry. I was just going to ask one quick question. Is it fair to say that Andre Screen is taking Connor Turnbull's minutes, because he seemed like the most hyped player coming into the season? And just from an outsider's perspective, again, not as into the Butler weeds, I thought he was going to be the backup 5, and it seems like Andre Screen is that backup 5 now.
Yeah, I think a lot of people thought Turnbull was gonna they wanted to use Turnbull at the 5, but like anytime I would ask anyone who like knew anything like inside more than I do, like they actually have access. You think they want to talk to me? Give your fucking head a shake. Anytime it was like, no, they want Turnbull as a 4. They view Turnbull solely as a 4. They do not want to play him at the 5 unless they desperately have to. So that's just the thing. They always wanted a 5, like a Screen. Even a Capkey's getting more minutes at the 5 than Turnbull. I feel like that says a lot. That Turnbull they always viewed as a 4, and they still just view him as a 4.
Yeah, they shortened that rotation a lot, by the way. Like, I think even in overtime, I believe actually, other than Jalen fouling out in the Cal game, I think the 4 other starters played the whole entire double overtime, didn't they? Yeah. So it'll be interesting once. I don't know if Augusto Casilla is planning on if they're going to put him in the rotation or whatnot. But BSC, what about you? What was your biggest player surprise?
Yeah, I think that one that kind of surprised me, especially after watching him in the exhibition games, and we had some concerns, is Landon Moore. Because I think that one really kind of stressful piece that we had in the offseason was that backup point guard, just because we've seen in the past when Aaron Thompson was at his best, when he was getting in foul trouble or when he got hurt in the COVID season, you just saw how detrimental it was when we didn't have a great backup point guard. And Landon in the first couple of games just looked like a little stressed, maybe a little afraid, a little overmatched. But really, since we started playing these Power 5 teams, he's looked great. And he doesn't play too fast. He locks in on defense and he can shoot the rock. So I've been really pleasantly surprised with him, because that was another guy I didn't necessarily know coming in, just because coming from a really, really small school where he had played a couple big teams and had some nice games. I kind of viewed it as almost as if he did like a post-grad year, like those guys do it, kind of like the IMGs, those kind of academies is kind of how I viewed it. So I didn't think he was going to come in as ready as some of the other guys, especially the transfers, but I've been really pleasantly surprised with him.
Was it the Boise State game where Posh was in foul trouble?
Yeah.
Was that the one where was that or I think the Boise State game, right? No.
Yeah, somewhere in Orlando.
Or is that the Penn, whatever game, whatever, where he stepped up huge. Like he played like more than half the game, I think, for Posh, and like completely ran the offense. So I mean, I agree. I mean, it has to be Andre Screen, though. I agree with you guys that no, I mean, I was super high, probably way too high on Pierre Brooks coming in. I just felt like he had to stop. Like the big thing for me that no one ever, I don't think it was talked about enough, is like last year's Butler team had like skill, but they didn't have Big East size. Like these are big fucking dudes. Like Ja is 6'7", 230. Pierre's 6'6", 240. Like these are thick bodies, which you need for the Big East. Like I mean, Jaden and stuff were great, but they were 6'4", 195. They were Chuck was 6'2" or 3 or whatever. One, who knows, right? So I think that was a huge emphasis, and I think it's obviously worked out really well. So now that the non-conference is over, obviously we're all super high in the Dawgs. Probably the 4th or 5th their best performance in non-conference of any of the Big East teams, to be honest. Like it really was. What do you think? Again, I'll punt it over to our friends from the bar room. How do you see Bulldogs' performance? Do you think they're for real? Do you think that they can make a splash in the Big East? What do you guys see from them as we head into conference play?
I don't see any reason why they wouldn't be able to make a splash. It doesn't seem like they're playing above their heads at the moment. Everything looks replicable that they've done to this point. Obviously, and I'm sure you guys talk about it all the time, the biggest question is the defense. it does look like it's improved at points, and then at other points, giving up a lot of points to Cal and having to go to double overtime is not great. You're ranked 90th on KenPom defensively right now. You have the pieces, as you're just talking about, the size and the bodies. Jalen Thomas, he's a great rim protector on your screen, another 7-footer come off the bench. There's no reason these guys can't play defense at a high level. It's just, seems to be a culture, getting the transfers to buy into the culture kind of situation. But even without improving defensively, you're still looking at, the number 5 or 6 team in the Big East, I think, in terms of record.
Yeah, I think that you hit it on the head too, Guru. Like, one of the things when we went to media day that was wildly impressive, some of these players you're reminded are of college kids. Like Cam Jones is about that big around for Marquette. Jameel Telfort looks like an absolute football player. That guy is the scariest dude we walk past by far. It's not even close. He looks like a grown man, and he looks like he's about that. You're going to go into this year in the Big East, and you're going to be able to body up with everyone. I think Ryan, the concerns are Big East has a lot of bigs. I like Jalen Thomas. How does he measure up against a Donovan Kling and a Ryan Kalkbrenner and Joel Soriano and Oso Iguodaro? Yes. Are those probably the 4 best bigs in the Big East? Yes. But let's also talk about logistics. You're going to sweep the ball. You're going to sweep Georgetown. No offense, Mike. Because I know you're a closet Georgetown fan.
It's not closeted.
A closet. It's not.
It's
a closet.
very outward. So I have like my stuff here from when I worked a couple Georgetown games. Like I have like the little tags.
Here's the flex coming. Yeah.
Over there. Yeah, I could do on all that stuff, but like,
I didn't want to insult your Georgetown Hoyas.
Not good.
Are you a guest on this podcast? Or are you hosting? Or when does the Georgetown pod come out?
We're working on it.
Oh, okay. Well, I hope all 6 listeners listen to Georgetown pod. Anyway, you're going to sweep DePaul. You're going to sweep Georgetown. I think you guys are vastly better than St. John's. They're also not interested in playing defense, and you guys are interested in playing offense. So I think you should be really fine there. Where you're going to struggle is against the top 3 teams, but who is everyone going to struggle against? The top 3 teams. Steal a game there. Your non-con's good enough, I think, to get you in the tournament. I know it's really far off to be talking about a tournament with 21 games to play, but why can't Butler be there? They've set themselves up in position, but there were also times last year in the non-con where I was like, you guys set yourself up in position when you beat Kansas State. And then it all went to shit. I don't know. Can I curse on this podcast?
Yeah,
I do.
Yes, you can.
Okay. So, I mean, listen, it's health. It's, everyone's got to stay healthy, but you guys have more depth than you did last year too. So if I were to rank Butler right now, they're probably my 4th or 5th best team in the Big East. And I don't think that's being too bullish on them.
I agree. I think you need to. One team you also didn't mention is Seton Hall, which I'm like super low on. I think you need to. I think if you're talking about 3 teams that you can, and let's be honest, like I'd love to steal one from the top 3. Fuck. UConn, Marquette, and Creighton are good. Like that's the best chance we probably have is Creighton coming to Hinkle, because for some reason Hinkle is like a nightmare for Creighton. So that's probably your best shot. But yeah, if we steal one of those, it's great. You have to split with like at least split with like the St. John's. I think we can get Villanova at home. Villanova is so hot and cold. I don't know what they are. And then I think like Seton Hall, DePaul, and actually, honestly, if Xavier doesn't start picking up their stuff too, unfortunately, the non-conference of the Big East wasn't all that great. I mean, if we're talking about Butler being the 4th or 5th best team, that was probably not a great non-conference of the Big East. But, if you can at least maybe split with those, yeah, I don't see why we couldn't be a fringe, ball team. I don't see why. I don't think our non-conference is bad enough or it was good enough to be able to do that. So, what about you boys? What are you guys thinking? Mike, I'll let you talk.
I mean, yeah, the non-conference was good. Like, I feel like every time someone would ask me, like, because you get this question a lot, and like, this is kind of the thing you follow like an absolute nerd. How close are we to the tournament? Was always the question I get, and I'd just be like, you can't ask me that yet. You can't ask me that yet. There's no reasonable time.
Joe Lenardi says we're the last.
First of all, Joe Lenardi.
So we're in, baby.
Of all the like bracketologists, which like became a thing over the last few years, he's like bad at it. Like secret bad at it.
Horrible. It's horrible. Yeah. It's like if you look, he's like 50th or something in the Matrix. It's really
he's
bad.
Lower than that. It's like
it's
the Matrix doesn't start up for another couple months. Like we can wait. Like if I have to see someone talk about the goddamn net on Twitter again, I'm gonna lose my mind. Like there is not enough sample. Like we don't need to like nerd analyze yet. Like, give us a month or two. I'll tell you about Q1 wins and how all this stuff works then. Give me a month or two and I'll be so excited to talk about it. But man, like they did everything you need to put yourself in position, but didn't do too much to where like you're still gonna need a couple big wins in Big East play. You mentioned like beating a Creighton, a UConn, a Marquette. That's possible. I mean, like it's not probable, but like any given day, I don't know. You get lucky if like you need to put yourself in a position to do exactly that. But yeah, they're in position to be in position to make a tournament run, something like that. And I think that's honestly the best thing you could ask for at this point.
Okay, John Rothstein, calm down. That's that.
All right,
always,
screw you then.
always,
Whatever, I'll just shut up then. All right, cool.
I think that's always his quote. It's like they're in position to be in position. No,
Yeah,
but one thing, just so you guys know, the bar room, I am an open hater of the Mountain West Conference. I think it's the most overrated conference in all of college basketball. Fun fact though, Boise State, because it is the most overrated conference in basketball, has moved up to a nice little Q2W. So Ryan, thank you for posting that today. I did not even notice that. So now we are 2-2 in Q1, Q2 games. So we got 2 Q2 wins already. So not bad. And I'm sure Boise State will be a Q1 by the end of the year for no fucking reason. So there you go. Right.
Yeah. By the way, one of only 5 Big East teams to at least go 500 in Q1, Q2 at this point.
Yeah.
And
with the other
Nebraska win is Q2 right now. That's going to drop because Nebraska's
going to drop.
They beat Michigan State though. So
yeah, I don't know. I still think that I would doubt Nebraska as a Q2 at the end of the year. I could be wrong, but like who are the other 4? Is it Creighton, UConn, Marquette, and I want to say Nova, because Nova's losses were against those trash Big 5 teams.
Yeah, exactly. Villanova has the weirdest resume in the Big East.
Yeah, no, it's really weird. Villanova's, I don't know. I mean, I think that like, and I don't hate to say it because this is a Butler podcast, so I don't hate to say it. I just think that some teams, especially like you look at Xavier, they have incredible work to do if they want to get in the tournament. Like they have to go like 13-7 to make like in conference to make the tournament. They just have to because they've screwed themselves. And then like St. John's has a lot of work to do as far as going over 500. I think these teams have a lot of work they need to make up. I think Butler needs to do what they need to do, but I don't think you're playing catch up as far as making the tournament like a St. John's is, or like a Xavier is, or Nova. The Q1 and Q2 wins really help Nova out, so I won't say they're fully playing catch up, but teams that you thought you'd be competing against, you just look a lot better resume wise right now. Like I said, that's the 2 I'm thinking of are Xavier and St. John's. I mean, they have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think you kind of got to look at the Big East schedule in kind of 3 buckets. I think there's a clear bottom 3 that you just have to dominate if you're a team that wants to be in the tournament. I agree. I'm super down on Seton Hall. I think they're trash. And then in the middle, you gotta hold your own. You got to go over 500 against those middle teams. Hold court and Hinkle, and then steal a couple on the road against the Villanovas, Providence. I'll throw Xavier in there, even though I think they're teetering towards that bottom bucket. And then the top 3. I mean, we have 6 shots, 3 of which are at home to get a top 10 win. And if you think about it, that's 6 games. None of them are going to be bad losses. And if you steal one, that's something that the committee looks at and says, okay, you have a win against a legitimate national title contender, especially if these teams stay healthy. Personally, I think UConn's the best team in the Big East. So, and we just match up so poorly against them as we've seen in the past. That's going to be the toughest. But Marquette doesn't seem too inclined to play defense. I think those could be 2 really entertaining games. We held our own there at their place last year. And then Creighton has some nightmares in Hinkle. So it's just a great chance to win a game, and you're just kind of tossing all your chips in the middle. It's not going to hurt you when it comes down to March, and it's an awesome opportunity to have a signature win.
Yeah.
Ask a question.
Yeah.
So say it's chalk in the Big East. You go 6-0 against the bottom 3, you go 0-6 against the top, and you split the rest. You go 10-10. We have them in, we have them out.
It's so hard to say. It's so hard.
I would lean out. You need a quality win, and I don't think you mentioned the Boise State game might be a Q1. I really like that team coming into the preseason. I'll tell you right now, they do not look like no damn Q1.
No, it's not. They're not good. They're not good, Mike. They're just going to be there.
Dude,
that's what they do.
The other Mountain West teams are better than them.
But
and
that's what they
Boise
do.
State, like, They're not good.
You might as well call the Mountain West a power conference because they keep getting they have figured out the way to work the metrics. I don't understand how they've done it.
Yeah.
They beat very mediocre mid-major teams, and they beat one Pac-12 team a year, which won't exist, and then they all beat each other and they all get a bunch of Q1s. So I can't wait for that to be a Q1A win. It's gonna be great.
I mean,
I think if that happens, they're 2 wins in the Big East tournament away from the tournament for playing in March.
Yeah.
And if they don't get that, they're really sweating, probably leaning out on Selection Sunday.
You need to
I
beat
agree.
tournament teams to make the tournament. Like plain and
Or
simple.
I'd say too. Actually, one thing we haven't said Providence yet. Has anyone said Providence? I think if you we beat Georgetown. Honestly, some road wins would be nice too. Like if we get like a win at the Dunk and maybe we don't beat the top 6, but I think if we still get some nice road wins, that could be obviously super beneficial against the middle of the pack. But
I mean, there's a way to get in without beating a top 6. You just have to go like 11-9 or 12-8.
Matters what other teams do, obviously.
Yeah.
I think that's the point too, because like if Villanova and Providence really come into their own here and they show that they're closer to that top 3 than that middle 4, then you beat them once. We're talking about a resume builder. But I don't know who said it. I think Kyle might have said it. I think Butler is not going to be searching for that win. Like they don't need like 3 wins against the top 6 like you might have needed in previous years. And I think that's huge that you're not playing catch up like a lot of the Big East is.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And anyone else have any last things they want to say? Otherwise, we'll wrap up this podcast.
That is bad. Rick gives me the ick. Like, come on, man. Like, come up with better stuff.
It's getting likes. That's all I know.
Like, come up with better stuff. Like, we can be more creative.
It's getting likes, and Thad is not bad now, and that's doing well too.
Good for you getting your engagement. Rock on, brother.
I appreciate it.
Happy for you.
All right, so that is episode 8. Appreciate the Big East Barroom coming on, guys. Thank you, guys. Appreciate some outsider input. Always a blast having some different people on here. Keep us from being too big of homers. Let's see. I think it's Friday, right? Friday. Dog. What time's that game at? Anyone even know? This is the least prepared for a game I've been.
It's
7.
It's a real
Never mind,
game,
it's not
guys. It's
6:30.
a real
No, I
basketball
know
game.
it's a real game. I'm doing
It's a real basketball game that we're playing. I don't care. I'll fight my death on
Yeah.
this.
Anyway.
You're wrong on that one, but go ahead, boss.
7 playing. It's the saggy butt game. It's the saggy butt game. SAGI butt. It's the saggy butt game. The saggy butt game is on Friday. You said 7, Kyle.
It's 7 or 7:30. I don't know.
Damn, I
Sounds
was
like
way off.
confident earlier. So saggy butts at 7, and then we got Georgetown on Tuesday. So now we'll kick off Big East play. So as always, go Dogs, and we'll talk to you guys next time.